finished up Costa Rica. Obviously, the first place, and Esala got top 8. Only losing to me, yeah. Luxury killed this event. Anyways, we played almost the same deck, very small differences, some of which aren't intentional. But yeah, we'll get to the deck. We'll make it short and sweet because we played very similar lists to Dortmund, and then even Dortmund was similar to Pasadena, so really not too much to talk about, but we will give some depth to, I guess, what you feel needs explaining.
Yeah, like I think the big differences between like our list and everyone else's at this point. So
is the fairy count.
Yeah.
Well, which I feel like we've talked about, but yeah.
I mean, like the Vistral thing too. I think.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this should be pretty stock standard. Is the 9 2 Rhino, because it is the worst into Bistrals, and those are you getting everyone popular.
Yeah.
This is a really good start, but it's not the only good way to start. And you just don't want to. The deck's already 43 cards. You just
which is more reason to play 3 early because you just want to be able to mill it. I will say, like, I just like having 3. It's really one of the best starters.
Just putting a second in grave is good too.
Yeah, so you always have back targets. Yeah, like if they're going to be banishing them, you having another one's always like more threatening.
Yeah. Don't need to go more. I think that's fair enough. The more contradictory stuff right now that everyone has been kind of moving away from, and we're one of the few people that still stand by this. That is just a full package of the fairies. Not slimming it down at all. No diviner, but for like the core fairies maxed out, nothing's changed. And we've been over it a bunch, but you want to go over kind of.
I mean, like, so the biggest thing is like they don't play this card because they don't play this card, and we are just activating the mill effects a lot more often. As long as we feel comfortable, like we have one of these and we're like just ready to stop it, then we can get a better exchange because we have access to our extra deck and our link monsters. And it also just means that we have way more ways to play turn 1, which has been a big problem because everyone's just maining all 9 Vistrals and they just can't do anything turn 1, and then we just get to break the
just pass.
Yeah, like they're not really making anything strong. These allow you to make Dweller way more often because there's like way more level 4s on the field, and just when you're ever playing against anything that's not tiered, you will just win more often because you have access to these, and like you get to like high roll way more.
So I'll provide some anecdotal evidence. In the finals, game 2, I'm down game 1, so going first. Open up Keldo with a name. Don't remember which one. It may have been a Yugioh. And I just go Keldo to Yugioh. And just because you have the Keldo there on the field, you feel safe to mill 5. Like, the worst case for you is them milling a Shuffler and then Solid Scream, which is absolute worst case. But most of the time, if it's like Shufflers and Tiers, the worst case you can mitigate the Tiers by just banishing the Keldo. It's not the biggest deal. But I got the Yugioh. I mill 5. They mill 5. He missed a Shuffler. And even though he had 4 hand traps, 2 Vistrals, Imperm, and Havness, it's just not enough because I hit a Shuffler, he didn't, and I didn't even hit any Tiers, but like he just didn't get to do anything. I summoned a Yugioh, brought back another Medora. I had 3 bodies in the field already, and let me like through 3 hand traps still end on Dweller Baron.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's been really solid for me. Like, I got to open when you get to play this card against anything that's not the tier matchup, and you get to have it with one of these, you should just automatically win. When you have it with one of these in the tier matchup, it's also like very highly likely you win. And it just like allows you to, if your opponent's not respecting it, you get to outplay them super hard.
It's hard to play around this card because you want to play very, very efficient with the resources in the mirror. So when you're playing for efficiency, random negate, and you're not expecting can really throw you off, right? Like, and this does stop that. So I mean, specifically using this to protect your plays to go through, so negating Shuffle guys and Vistrals is when you're using the most. But that is more impactful than people think. And yes, at that point, it's very similar to Bell, but it has way more range than Bell, and that's what's important. Bell could probably be in the side, but Spec is already built for the mirror. Like, why would you side out for Bell? That's the issue.
It's a Bell that's good versus everything, and then like just
level 2 tuner actually too.
Level 2 tuner.
Baron's insane. Like, we're not summoning as often as they do with Diviner, but we still summon it, and Baron is nuts.
If they don't have a way to interact with me turn 1, I am summoning Baron. Like, it's so likely that I will mill one of these, and I try to go for it. I'll summon Rukos and I always throw it away.
You Rukos protects you from the nib, and then you synchro it off for the Baron, so you're still not weak to nib. The Dweller now can't be super polyed, so Dweller, Elf, Baron.
It also allowed me to specifically beat Orange Light on my Dweller twice. And then, because I do it in draw phase, it just summoned back the rule. Instant back.
Yeah, yep. I didn't have that happen, but that is very strong. Yeah. Just the other talking point that Saul brought up was the Bishop count. It's not a full suite, it is 7. This still gives you pretty good odds to draw going second, but drawing going first isn't crazy to the point where like you side out some of the extra names going first. just low value when you start. Like, they're not great extenders outside of Magnemite. That's part of why we put the third in for Dortmund in this event.
Yeah, Magnemite's great going first, but the other ones just kind of like are usually stuck in your hand. Like, also, big thing, we're not playing Beatrice, so like using them to like be productively playing turn 1 is not very.
Okay, but even turning 2 6s into Beatrice in your hand is not.
Yeah, like I don't want to waste. I don't want to have to use them turn 1, right? Like I don't want to use them on not my opponent's cards, and like which I mean, you still get the value. Like you're not too sad about seeing them, especially if you have to use the mill effects, right? Because then you'll probably get some value out of them, but realistically, that's just not as efficient as just seeing your tier monsters and just being able to play naturally.
1 star in here helps just because we already have this round, 1 star in there.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's more magma cards.
I don't love this card, but it's fine.
Yeah, these are still like the best cards in the mirror. Like realistically, when you are going second and you do like see them, you are really happy about it. It's just such a huge swing. When you get
I think Purple Rhino is the best card, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
This card really, like, until you play the mirror, you don't realize how crazy this card is. Like, I feel so much better when an opponent doesn't start with this card. It's so strong. The pop, because even when you're under Dweller, like, just being able to force, like, summon a Shuffle guy, like, to prevent their effect and then also trigger a pop, is so strong. In the long game, it just adds up so much value. The attack boost as well, because when you get into both triggering a bunch of effects, it goes, okay, we've all resolved, none of us could stick a big field. So now we have to clean up with the battle phase, and that's where Scream and Rhino make a huge difference.
Rhino just lets you do so much because the pop is so flexible, being able to target your own cards. That just lets you just have all this range, and with the shuffle guys, it just means you get to like randomly have a pop a card on any turn. I think that card and this next card should probably be banned.
Oh, this card! I don't know how this card wasn't banned.
Yeah,
essentially Power Spike 1 of should be banned. I do this twice in the finals. Yeah, I lost the first game because the hand was so insane, anyways.
Yeah,
it included Pearl Rhino, by the way, his hand. That was just part of why it was so good. But in game 3, I drew this. Oh, yeah, it was game 3 I drew it. And like the rest of my hand was pretty solid, so and the card's nuts. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain that. It's another card I think is probably really, really, really underrated in the mirror, and I almost always search it when I don't have it. The Scream. And the reason it's not 3 is because, we talked about it before, just going second isn't as good. Into Dweller, it's not great. So it's only good going second if they can't attack Dweller, and that's not really something you can guarantee, like no matter what, so it's not worth it. And the deck is tight for space. Wherever you want to play 2, so you can draw more often, but also because when you can search 1, you can mill 1.
that does come up a lot.
But yeah.
I think it's just generally, it's also just the absolute best card versus anything that's not here. I mean, like maybe Fluunders, like the decks are flooding you out, not so much, but like when you're playing against anything that's not getting, or they're not specifically locking you out of like the graveyard or something of that like sort, they're trying to beat you with hand traps. You activate a Scream, they just can't stop what comes next. Like you'll just probably mill 3 cards after you did nothing, and then that'll probably end up leading to you milling 5 more, and then they just can't come back.
Yeah, this card is just crazy. Like the continuous value you get off it. Oftentimes it's mills 9. Mm-hmm. So if you had a spell that mills 9 and makes your opponent's monsters weaker and is also a good mill, then why don't you play it? And I mean, I think this is probably the thing that is most slept on in the mirror. You should, or it's in this deck in general, this card is of extreme importance. So anytime I consider cutting, because theoretically it seems to be low impact, it's just not. It's insane.
I see a lot of people like using like either their field spell or like their Baron to pop it. A lot of times just search a trap, and sometimes I just don't even feel that's right. Like it's just.
Oh, I almost never feel it's right.
Yeah, it's just so much the incremental value for over like several turns of this card is just too.
And the attack buff too. Again,
it's hard for them to beat over Dweller and like Elf when they just lose.
Yeah, we're just getting like one of the 3K dudes up.
Yeah.
With a Scream, like it's almost always safe. They have to commit like a lot to actually clear it.
Yeah.
Heartbeat, Recycle's a good mill, and then some back removal in the main that's searchable, and it's fine. It comes up enough, I think.
Yeah, like having a reasonable mine out, it's always there.
Yeah, without mine, I don't know if it's in my main deck still.
I mean, I enjoyed that it was there for everything else, but it's not a necessity.
I got mine 0 times, but I used this card still.
I used it to beat crime a lot.
I did that against you.
Yeah, thanks.
So the difference between Esala's deck and mine is I kind of just copied Josh for a bit. And I swapped out for second Selic. I mean, even before, like, for the other deck, like the Danger one, we felt Selic was insane. The biggest reason, I think, for me why I swapped was before there was a lot more drop it in the format, while now it's completely phased out, as with other board breakers. So you're not going for the kind of full-blood board, but rather the grind. And in the grind, Selic is better because it's better mill, it doesn't discard, it triggers effects off field. And that's kind of why I wanted that. And I'm not getting drop-hitted, I don't need the counter trap to make sure that's not a problem. So that's why I played 2 Selic. It's better mill, most importantly.
I played the Crime because I was really afraid of Flu here because I just knew there was going to be a lot. I only played one, but the biggest thing is I know they're going to be on a lot of the, like, not specifically the Flu cards I'm worried about, but like they are on largely Dark Brewers, Evenly, Sleep Ultimates, like a lot of the crazy board breakers. And I've just had, this is obviously anecdotal, but the last couple events, I've been Dark Brewer Evenly plus third thing every single time. Like I consistently, every event that this has happened to me, and I need to be prepared for it. The only reason I beat it in Dortmund is because I had Crime Bear, and so only one of them resolved. And like I got to like keep a kit, and then eventually I would win.
Yeah,
40
you just roll it out.
Yeah. So that's just why I wanted. I mean, it's not like he didn't play it, but
I signed it. Yeah, we'll get to that later. But I just felt like it's going second is also just definitely worse.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a decrease in power level just for a bit more mid-range stuff, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I like this card still, but yeah.
I saw a lot more people trying to banish kit with like a Bestial. So like,
I do that a lot. Yeah.
So having a way to like get that back.
So I'm on top 52 match. I was very far behind, but I Bestial his kit, and he just kind of like the game went long, and when the game went long with him not having a kit, he kind of just ran out.
Yeah, like someone tried to do that to me, but I just had to like use a shuffle guy to put it back.
Yeah, I mean you have to. Yeah. So you should do. That's the main deck. It's 43 cards. The one difference between the two of us.
He played 2 Selic, I played Prime.
Yeah. I've been liking it. Yes, it's above 40, and you want to be slim in a deck like this because you want to control your mills. It doesn't impact the odds that much, but I felt like everything I wanted to include. The most questionable cards are the Serenir and the Heartbeat. But those cards were good. Those are utility choices, right? Have another name and to boost the odds of Vistrals, and just another good mill while also having a mine out. Like that utility, I felt like was worth an incremental decrease in consistency for the mills. And it's not a crazy decrease.
It also just means just playing Heartbeat means you don't have to shuffle back the traps. You can just use Pearl Reno, pop Kaleido, send Heartbeat, get one of those guys back.
Hit send.
Yeah, you don't have to work too hard to get some stuff back. Little nudges there.
Yeah. Extra deck. So then we got the standard stuff here. I still never summon this, so I think I should have talked it every single time. I summon it. I just almost never ever need it. I did summon it.
I summoned it several
against Sprite, and it was made a guy level 1, but it also could have been anything.
Right. This card is just so scary. God damn it,
dude.
Is,
yeah. This is how I beat him, is I just put a Mudragon up, it's a dark, and then I summoned a Magnema too, so I just hit a full field before his turn started, and if he didn't have talents. And if you don't have talents for that, that's why I was playing Access Code. You just destroy people. But people just aren't doing that, so I don't know. This card is so nuts. It's because also they can't hit pop itself. It's so good. Sprites. Can you see it, Shaq?
Yeah.
Okay. It's pointing up. 2 sprites, standard. I guess so is dark. The one that's not is Asa. I still summon this. We're playing more fairies, so it's more understandable why other people don't. And I probably may cut it if the fairy lineup has to change for next format. But
it comes up a lot with the Yugioh, I think. There's just more bodies on your field, and you need to turn them into something.
Yeah. It bridges elf and sprint, which is important.
Yeah.
Especially when both players are playing, because you do the mill effect, making this, and then elf bring back the Elsa, and then make sprint under is good, because you still want the elf up top.
Yeah, I summoned it a few times.
Yeah, I never summoned it a ton, but it always comes up, and it's not something else. Nothing else could have filled this role.
Also, at this point, no one plays around it, and I actually got the value out of it where I had already dwellered them, so I got to take their Keldo and use it and banish
I had a line against Pack where I could have also back a Bell to make Baron, but it was really bad into Bishul, so I didn't do it, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, the flex.
So you actually notice here, that's it for the links. We cut the big link, so if we were choosing Access Code Talker, and while I like that card a lot, and it does help with Mudragon issue, people just weren't doing this. And if Access Code in other cases often could have just been something else and it wouldn't have been a big deal. So I cut Access Code. I like that card, but I just had to make space for Zeus. See, I agree Zeus is insane. And it was a mistake for me not to play it before, but Access Code is good too, and there was just nothing else I could find to cut. I guess I'll skip through it. Yeah, it's Zeus. We put it in. The card is very strong. I was never denying that. And it was my 16th spot before, now it's moved up, and Access has moved out. Yeah, the card is good.
And my top 16.
Honestly, it didn't really occur to me as much how frequently he would dweller into Zeus. Just threatening that is good. And it started annoying me where did my 12 rounds, 12 or 11 of Dortmund. Everyone knew I didn't play Zeus, so I went Dweller to force a Sulik. I made Dark to force a Selic, and then I had a Dweller on field to go Zeus afterwards, and just didn't Selic because he knew I didn't play Zeus. Or he Solic'd that because he Solic'd that because he knew I played Zeus. I'm like, okay, like
yeah.
I just couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, sometimes you do get punished when they have the information, but like, yeah, obviously, it is just good.
I wonder if anybody didn't play around this. Because I accessed a guy, played into it, I think, and that talent stole his guy, swung and made his Zeus, and then 2 materials. That was sick. The false information.
Yeah, I used it to out Dimensional Fisher, which would probably be way more relevant coming soon. Yeah, like you went Baguska into that.
Card is definitely good. Oh, I got to use the effect to attach to Garura.
Ooh. Like it was going to happen for me, I think. Like, but he just couldn't actually kill anything. So, yeah.
Wallow.
The only rank 6 we played didn't play Beatrice again.
I love this card. Everyone says it's flex. I summon this card a lot.
I don't think this one's like that arguable anymore. I think this one's like borderline staple now. It's just kind of crazy that we don't play Beatrice, and it did technically come up for me, but
I still never needed Beatrice.
They were games we wanted to play. Like,
I summoned Wallow 4 times. Every time was good. I think 3 times like it was needed. I don't know if it was needed, but it significantly helped the field. One time it didn't matter, but it helped me with kill shots as well. And like I talked about, sometimes it's hard to kill big bodies. This fixes that issue.
Yeah.
I steal any talents this hand. That sucked. I stole an Emperor. That was cool.
I stole a crime.
During his I stole a Scream. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I said like I needed a way to mill, and yet a Scream is great. I'm like, still got to try.
He did it to me at some point. Oh no, that was in testing. Okay.
In testing, yeah, we play a bunch of those. So.
Yeah.
The staple ring cores. Again, redoers the last couple spots like Beatrice redoer, now access code are the 3 spots I really wish I could fit. Can't, but these are staple. You kind of have to play these.
Yeah.
And this card that people aren't playing, but I think is nuts to play Orange Light. Even this No Diviner, this card is so strong that like just having your deck makes you going first way better. And the deck going first is not as crazy as people think it is in the mirror because there's a lot of chances to lose.
Yeah, it's a lot of high impact trades, and like the visuals make things really watered down. I don't think I've lost a game of Sun Baron though.
I did in the finals. Yeah. Almost every other time I've won. Cleaning up the field is very good as the pop as well. Pop your own card as well is also good.
Yeah.
Tagging out, it's just 3 good effects.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah. Finally getting reprinted, right?
Yeah.
So side deck is a couple differences.
Go into.
Or we'll go over it.
You're so dumb.
Sorry.
Practice for going first.
Don't love it going second. Everyone playing more mid range now. It gets better going second because the end fields aren't as crazy because there's no crime, like there's no barons. There's not really ways of negating this. So maybe it's better going second. In which case you can argue maybe main decking it if it's good going first and second. Mm-hmm. But I didn't love it when I went going second because if they mill it, it's a wallow target that's ridiculous. Because getting your hand ripped is so hard in the mirror. Or something mud drag. Or if you like do the other thing where you just have all the cards that play in your opponent's turn, and you summon everything in the field, and think you're protecting the mud dragon, like what happened with Hani, and they steal it. Either way, this card's just nuts. Going first. So, but yeah, and then I don't want them to wallow it. So that's why I wasn't in going second typically, and why it's not in the main deck. Going first, like as I just explained, it's crazy.
I mean, I don't think there's anything else to say.
Yeah.
The card's good.
Sided was rogue too.
Yeah.
And then anything I'm not expecting a shit ton of negates against, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because like if I don't, it's just a 1-for-1 trade, which sometimes is okay. But if I don't want to be doing a 1-for-1 guaranteed trade,
yeah. This guy goes in, basically, right?
Yeah, those type of decks. So this was Droplet before, and almost immediately after entering, I realized that's stupid. Why the hell is it Droplet? Because I wanted something for Sprite, and Droplet's way worse for Sprite because it becomes a 1-for-1 trade where this is a full cleanup pretty much, puts them just on back row. The match was already good for you, so then it's very easy. And it's still good for Flu. It's a little worse, but it's still good.
Yeah, I mean, I was just very afraid of Flu, so I'm glad we had like more cards for Flu.
I mean, it was Droplet better. I think Droplet marginally better. I mean, more flexible.
It depends because like a lot of the time you can still just be under Shifter or under like.
No, when you're under Shifter, you're not doing much anyways.
I guess like, I just don't like.
This was definitely a little bit worse. Like Droplet was really good for Flu because it was so flexible. Like if you do it to stop stuff on their turn, your turn, it's like triggers, force chain links to weird spots, and force like through effect negators. I guess if they played Imperm, which did happen to me once, but. This card is still great. It's just not doesn't have the utility that sometimes Droplet has. We talked about crazy this card is. So by that logic, had for going first, and these are the
4 cards
things going first. I put in 5. I put in this.
Right.
To the trap. But yeah, that's the logic.
Yeah.
Going first is not invincible. I sided more for going well. We sided more for going first than going second on the mirror because with everyone power siding and like shit ton of hand traps, it's not that simple.
Yeah, I usually take out like 2 Druid Storm Serenity and 1 Magma. Or no, not
No,
a
not
Magma.
Magma, not
It's 1 Orange Light.
Yeah.
Going first.
You still want to have 2, so you have a good chance to mill it. Drawing it is fine, but you don't want to risk it drawing dead. The other cards are just better. It is kind of hard to side of this deck.
Alright, so those are all things that are exactly the same. Plus one other thing, I guess.
Yeah, this is the same. No Ladybugs this time. And this is the same too. Esala didn't play the crime in this side, so he had one more spot. He played with his own world.
Yeah.
Actually, no space.
Again, I was very afraid of Flu. I was sick of it, dude.
So the difference is, I was supposed to play this. However, what I played, and this, sorry. And I'll explain it, but what I played by mistake was, I'll find it, just this, which if you'll count as 14 cards in my side deck. So I wrote my deck strong. Pretty much, when I was writing out the 2s, I knew I had 2 cards left, so I've already written down 2 Twin Twisters, like, oh, I'm missing 2 cards, that's Twin Twister. So I wrote 2 Twin Twisters twice in my deck list and left this card off. So my side deck, then I got a game loss against Paolo in round 4. And then, which is expected, and then I had to fix my deck. Because I can't, and then what they make you do is play what your deck list says, because you cannot play 4 Twin Twisters. You play 3, and then Saronier is not on my deck anymore. And it's still a legal deck, so I don't have to replace it. So yeah, I had a 14-card side deck with 3 twins and no Saroniers inside. The logic behind how it's actually supposed to be, it's just, yeah, you just want more Pistrals. Like, those are the best hand traps going second, because they're bodies and disruption.
Yeah, I mean,
and this more for Flu. I don't like I don't like people doing where they just don't play any back removal. Necro Valley, Macro, Dimensional Fissure, and random other floodgates too just exist. Like, I can't just ignore them. Yes, it's Heartbeat, but when you're flooded, you can't almost can't ever search it. So having more outs is good. And I think it's just sometimes it's just enough to break the field anyways. Like, they have the bare bones, so you can just hit the spells, hit the trap,
yeah.
The field spell, normal summon, attack, statue, play, and that's might be enough.
Yeah.
In fact, it often is. Or you'll pair with Dark Ruler, or it clears out the back row. You go through something else. Like, it's strong.
I have no complaints.
Yeah, I like
These were good for
strong.
me. I'll say.
I got to play one round with them.
Yeah, he didn't need them against us, so.
It's crazy. I just again didn't have a side deck going second in the mirror.
I mean, you saw Polly's list, so you decided to put these cards in, right?
Yeah, when I saw they were playing very mid-range versions, they had a lot of hand traps. It's a higher chance of them not doing a crazy turn 1. And if there's not many negates, you just talents is better. And I was pretty sure there's no Wallow to punish as well. But also, with this card, but no, I had something else to say. Oh god, I forgot.
All right, if we come back to it, we'll come back to it. But I think like the biggest thing is we didn't want to main the 9 and like having them going second side.
Yeah.
But like the way everyone else is playing it right now with such a heavy counter, because they're just so afraid of either player just playing that they want to just mitigate everything, and we're just okay with some cards happening because we can usually deal with the board that ends up just being there, right? It's not that big a deal. Like most of the time, you're not getting super flooded out. Like Dweller isn't the end of the world. It's only like if they go full combo, which is not very likely unless you're playing a deck like this. So they were all making weak boards, and we were able to just push through. And we didn't want to be doing that as well, so we sided the 2 when we actually know we're going second.
So what's interesting that a lot of people kind of need to realize, and that maybe I'm giving away secrets here that'll cost me later down the line, but when this deck is really at its peak like power level is when you're not searching a monster of Kit Kalos. You're searching a Scream typically, or if you have Scream, you're getting a trap. So when you have to use the kit to search Merly or Rhino because your hand's full of other non-engine cards, that feels a lot worse. It's weaker to hand traps, and the end fields are just kind of not great. Like, you're forced to pick and choose between what you can actually end on, and you end up with lacklusterness. Like, Pac did it to me, where I didn't have any disruption at all game 3, and just the way his hand played out, because he didn't play all the Millers, or I actually don't know his death list, but because he had to kit for a monster, he just ended on very little. He ended on like Dweller, Scream, 1 in hand, and a Merly. Which isn't nothing, but like I didn't use any hand traps, so I was drawn to 6, and I was able to play through it.
Same. Like that happened to me in top 32, where I opened like a full engine hand. And I just thought I just lost immediately going second because he started with field spell, but he like just ended up not like I think he just had too much non-engine in hand. He just ended on like a lackluster field. It couldn't even Dweller me because it's like the arrangement of it. I guess he said he just couldn't find like a effective way to make Dweller.
Sometimes if you just to force the Dweller means doing nothing else. Which
Yeah,
is
like
also just as bad because they kill the Dweller and the game resets pretty much.
Yeah. So, but because he did that, I was able to actually just kill him through his entire field with just my non-engineered.
Yeah, I mean, that's a risk, right? You
yeah.
kill the Dweller. The Dweller guarantees you another turn, but it also means it doesn't not a winning play at all.
Yeah.
That's why you need to be playing more engine, right? These don't get there all the time. But yeah, that's why we built the deck the way we did, and we wanted to relegate some more of the non-engine to the side deck. Anyways, more depth than I think maybe anticipated, but again, shout outs to Luxury Gaming. They make phone events possible. Very much appreciate it. You guys are seeing it hopefully on just this channel exclusively, this profile, and we'll continue pumping out profiles for here.